Hi y'all, thank you so much for visiting my channel. I'm going to be painting this little honey jar as well as a little owl figurine. And while I sit here and draw, I will go ahead and talk about a little bit about myself so that way we can get to know each other. My name is Amber. I'm a single mom from Central Texas, originally raised in South Texas near Corpus Christi area. I have loved art and animals for most of my life. When I was a kid, I had wanted to be an artist and was discouraged by my family because I was told that that is a hobby, that is not a career. So I'm on a mission to prove them wrong, and I have a lot of growing to do. So that's why I'm practicing this here. I'm working with warms and cools. So I am going to do the honey jar in warm colors, and then I'll do it in cool colors as well. And I'll do the same exercise for the owl. I look up to artists like James Gurney, and I really would love to achieve his art style as well as his realism. He works so well with light, so I eventually want to get up to that experience. If you don't know about James Gurney, he had written the books Dinotopia, and he also did the artworks for the covers. And as a kid, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. So I have seen a few of his works without actually realizing that it was him. I have another artist that I loved as a child. Her name was Claudia Nice or Claudia Nice. I believe that she's passed away. But her artwork was amazing as well. She did a lot of watercolors and inks. And I think some of what I do kind of honors that. I recently learned that artists are not actually original in their art. We actually take little pieces of the people that we are inspired by. And I think that's kind of cool in a way because you are what you surround yourself with. So if you have people around you that are mean and ugly, not not physically ugly, but I mean they're ugly in their personality, then you probably will adopt those characteristics as well. Anyways, I'm getting off on a little tangent here, a little side quest. But with this honey jar, I'm just outlining it with some watercolors, some warm watercolors like orange. And then with the blue, I think I was using indigo, which the paints that I have, they don't have indigo. So I mixed violet and a blue. I think it was like a cyan. But I'm just going back and forth between these two jars because I'm letting them dry in between. I have a dryer, but I don't want to use it. Now I have my little owl friend here. I actually got this little owl from a Goodwill, I think, when I was still living in my hometown. And it's my favorite. I love the little guy. I have kept it for years. It was in my bedroom at my mom's house for years, and now it's in my apartment where I'm living with my two kids. So I am just sketching this little guy out. Um, there's also another thing that I've learned where, and I repeat it a lot, where don't make it perfect, just make it exist. Because I am so worried about perfection. I am cursed with it, unfortunately. I sit there and worry about it being perfect instead of just getting it done. I have actually been sitting on this video for a very long time, worrying about putting in the audio, when honestly, I should just enjoy being an amateur for a little while. I'm not the best whenever it comes to speaking. I do a lot of pauses, I do a lot of ums, I stutter, I get distracted, and I need to just learn to let loose and try to lean with the curves. Or, yes, lean with the curves. And just stop being a perfectionist when it comes to art. Which is also why I took up watercolor. For the longest time, I was an acrylic artist. I still love my acrylics. Um, but I was so focused with acrylics on being perfect as well. I didn't want to do the painterly style that I am now seeking. I made everything smooth and buttery looking, and it just looked kind of strange. But I really, really loved the painterly style. I remember that I accidentally accomplished painterly style on a dog portrait that I was doing. And honestly, that was my favorite. And it hurt to let it go, but it was a commission piece for my friend. Shout out to Amanda for being the best friend ever. Um, she had me do 2 commissions and she paid me for them, as well as one of my other ex coworkers, um, Elizabeth. She also had me do a commission piece, I think for her brother. They were for their 2 pugs. And you know, unfortunately, being an artist, we don't get a lot of support. And what little support I do get, I thank them a lot. Here I am just using my little Prismacolor micro pen. I love outlining watercolor works in micro pen. I have no idea why. I think it's because of Claudia Nice or Nice. Claudia Nice. I'll just pick one. I'll say Claudia Nice. I think it's because of her. She would apply the watercolor washes and then she would go over it in ink. She would use sepia ink, but I just love the little black inks. I love just making the little outlines, some of the unpredictable outlines. There's one creator I saw, they made a watercolor salmon and they outlined it in ink, but the way that they did it, it wasn't perfect. It was like it was supposed to be like an incomplete drawing. I don't know how to describe it to you, unfortunately, but it was very cool. So the little jar is my favorite jam as well. They make my favorite jam as well. I think it's like Bonds. I can never remember the name. I just recognize the jars. I love to recycle those jars. But now for the little owl here, I'm just going in and darkening up the wash a little bit. So I'm adding darker values. And then afterwards, I think I'm going to move over to the, nope, I am outlining more. Fun. I actually have not looked at this in a while, so you're watching this video as I'm watching it. Though that paintbrush there is actually one of my favorites. I did take a watercolor class in college for a little bit. It was an elective, and I'm a college dropout. Yay! Um, but I wish that I had paid attention a little bit more in watercolor class. Um, because my teacher, my professor, she, for some reason, whenever I went into the class, I had thought that they were going to teach us how to draw, how to make these beautiful watercolor paintings that I've seen. But I learned, no, they don't. They are there to teach you the fundamentals. They are there to teach you values, um, not moral values, but values in color and how those work, how the color wheel works. They're there to teach you that. They're not there to teach you how to draw. Side note here, if you hear any background noise, my daughter is in the living room watching Puppy Dog Pals. Um, that's one of her favorites. She loves Puppy Dog Pals. Anyways, I am also doing the same here on the little blue owl, where I'm just outlining her little colors. Um, I think out of all of them, out of both of these little projects here, I think my favorite was the jars. And you'll see towards the end here, I will take a gel pen and I will make some white highlights on everything after I get through darkening up these owls. But yeah, I'm doing the little eyeballs, doing their little eyes, and I'm doing the little blue owl's eyes. And then I am going to work on their little beaks as well. This little figurine, for some reason, it has a little smile underneath the beak, which is so strange to me. Um, but I mean, it was a Goodwill figurine, so what should I expect? And then I'm going in and darkening the ears or the tufts. They're not actually ears. Owls' ears are actually on the sides of their head. And if you were to pluck the feathers, I guess you would say, and look into their ear, you can see the back of their eyeball through their ears. So, very interesting little fact about owls. Of course, everybody knows that they can turn their heads around. I think, God, is it 180 degrees? I think it is. Owls are cool. I love them. My stepdad used to have a property in George West, Texas, and we had a deer stand there. Well, we hadn't been to the property in like a couple of weeks. So when we did go, we went to go and check the deer stand just to see what was in there. We opened it and two owls fly out and there's just bunny fluff everywhere. I was a little kid back then, so I was like, "Oh no, not the bunny." Yeah, poor rabbit. But yeah, I think there were two barn owls, and that actually is one of my favorite species of owls. My other favorite is the great horned owl. Um, when I would stay at my dad's house in San Antonio, there was a great horned owl in the neighborhood that would just sit in the tree. And I would keep my window open at night and I could hear him hooting. They're very cool animals. I think they're very intelligent. Um, I think a lot of animals are more intelligent than what we give them credit for. But owls, especially, there's just something to them. You know that they know more than what they're appearing to know. I'm just darkening up the outlines here. And then I think to soften that outline, because I didn't like the harshness, I had applied a little bit of water to it to kind of, yeah, to soften it a little. And then That before this, I did dry it a little bit because these Prisma markers, they, I believe, are water soluble. So I had to dry the surface completely before outlining. Um, but yeah, I'm just outlining this little guy, and then I'm going to outline the blue. Yeah, these little things are my favorite. And then for some reason, I don't know, I think I had difficulty with these wings a little bit because they were oddly shaped. And then, oh, here's the little jelly pen. I've heard that some people don't like these jelly pens. I like them. Um, some people don't like them because they're kind of streaky, but I kind of like that. It's brings personality to it, I think. But I'm applying it a little thick on the jars, especially. Um, I don't know. I think I put a lot on here, but I really like it. I just love food art. There's a lot of them that I see on Pinterest, for example, and they're so cool. So we are getting close to the end of this video. If you appreciated this, thank you so much. I hope you'll have a great day.